And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have a simple and quick recipe for you. This is a jalapeno and cilantro cream sauce. So this is what you see on the chicken we have here. Really simple, extremely zesty, a little bit spicy as well, although you can control that by how you prepare it. And we're going to get going. Started off with our ingredients. So of course we have some jalapeno peppers, some heavy cream, some cilantro, and an onion. So it's a very simple recipe. There's not a whole lot to it. We're going to start by chopping the tops off of the jalapenos. We're going to get the stems off, and then we're going to just give them a rough chop. We're going to just cut them into rings. Now we're going to leave the seeds in because we wanted this to be a little bit spicy, quite zingy. If you want it to not be as hot, if you want it to be less spicy, then by all means take all those seeds out. That's perfectly fine. And it doesn't have to be pretty. We are going to be burr mixing this with our stick blender a little bit later on anyway. So don't worry about how they look. As long as they're sort of all roughly the same size, you want them to cook around the same speed. Same with the onion. We just want them into nice sized rings. Again, we're going to be burr mixing this whole thing. We just want everything to cook roughly the same pace. So just make sure that you're not leaving any huge chunks or anything in there. So we have some melted butter in our pan, and in goes our vegetables. So in go the onions and the jalapeno peppers together. Now we just want to sweat these for a little while. We want to get the onions so that they're pretty translucent and kind of limp. We're going to get them all nice and wilted. We want to bring out some of the aromas of those jalapeno peppers as well. And we're going to add a little salt as well, just to get things going. And then we're going to actually we're going to stir that just to make sure that everything's well combined. And then we're going to cover this. We're going to let this sit for a little while covered at a sort of a medium temperature, just until those onions have wilted and everything's mostly cooked through. So basically, until it looks like this. This is about where we're trying to get. We don't want a whole lot of color on this or anything. So once we get to this point where everything's nice and wilted and you don't have a lot of caramelization or anything, we're just going to add our cream. So the heavy cream gets added now. I'm just going to give that a little stir, and we're going to steep these vegetables. We're going to steep these great ingredients in that cream and let the flavor sort of infuse throughout. So the cream is going to pick up that spiciness. It's going to pick up the flavor from the onions. We also want the cream to reduce, so we're not going to cover this anymore because we want this to thicken quite a lot. And just because it's cream, it will thicken as it cooks. So you can see here it's starting to boil a little bit. We're going to get some great flavor extraction from that. But you can see it's still pretty thin. Now at this point you do want to make sure you're keeping an eye on it because cream will scorch and will stick to the bottom of your pan and burn. So you do want to make sure you're keeping an eye on it and giving it a good stir every now and then, just to make sure you're not losing any or burning any bits of cream or vegetable on the bottom of your pan. So this is getting there. You can see here it has thickened up quite a bit and it's starting to coat the spoon a little bit. It's still a little bit runny, so it needs a little bit more time, but now's a perfect time to get our cilantro ready. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty. Mostly what we want to do with the cilantro is make sure that the stems are in good small pieces, because cilantro stems will get caught up in stick blenders or blender blades and all that sort of stuff. You want to make sure that you're cutting it so that they're just little pieces, but don't worry about getting little bits of stem in there. Again, this is going to be burr mixed at the end. So we're going to add that cilantro. Interesting thing about cilantro and its relative parsley is the longer it sits in this sauce in your fridge or anything like that, the more it sort of reduces the overall flavor. There's chemicals in parsley and cilantro that do that. So it sort of shortens the lifespan of the sauce because it will sort of suppress the other flavors in the sauce as it sits in your fridge. So once you've got that cilantro added and it's just heated all the way through its leaves, it takes no time at all. We're going to take that out and we're going to give it a good stick blend. We want it to be pretty smooth. You can go all the way to completely smooth and liquefy this in a blender if you like, in a really high power blender, We just want it to be mostly smooth. We like to have little bits of leaf and a little bit of texture in there as well. So we're not going to go until it's absolutely smooth, but we are going to cool it before we use it. So you can see it's gotten very, very thick. The vegetable matter in there has helped thicken it some, and all of that reducing that we did has definitely concentrated the flavor and has also made it nice and thick here. So we're going to put this in a metal bowl so that we can get it cooler faster. And we actually put it in the fridge for a little while once it was room temperature. And you can see here it is very thick now. Really extremely bright and quite spicy flavor. Also, it's fascinating to have that cool cream, cold sauce with spicy flavor. It's really, really excellent, and I recommend trying this. It goes amazingly with grilled meats and anything like that. We actually put some on the squash soup from last week, and it came out amazing. Really, really delicious, and we hope you'll give it a try. So if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.